Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Exposed, where we expose fake NLP and show you why it is anything but neuro-linguistic programming. So, welcome all viewers. The topic for today is my list of 42 criteria. I'm more than happy to entertain that there are more points. But as always, if you have questions, if you have remarks, if you disagree with me, please let me know. You are more than welcome to discuss it. And of course, this show would be nothing without the star of the show, Nora Lisa. So let's get her online as well. Hi, Nora Lisa.
Hi, how are you?
Before we start, I would like to thank you for sending me my package. And your book,
you got it. Awesome.
Yes, Horse Hollow. It is poetry, I think, with the all kinds of drawings.
Yeah, some of the drawings are a bit exotic, so
well, depends on what you're used to.
Right.
But can I show one?
Oh yeah.
Or do I violate your copyright?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So here's candy.
Yeah.
And there's a poem about candy. Don't take candy from strangers.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for reading.
Hello, Jeremy, or the RHED Cerulean. Good to see you. I didn't think you were trolling as of yet. And Ben, welcome Ben as well. If I have missed you or overlooked you, you are more than welcome as well. We're going to delve into my 42 criteria of fake NLP. So, but I think that it is smart to very shortly discuss what is fake NLP. And there is I did not come up with this myself, or I did come up with this myself for NLP, but this is basically the definition of pseudoscience, which is one, it's not science, and two, major proponents act as if it's science. And I just took that definition and thought, okay, that's a great definition for a fake NLP. One, it's not NLP. And two, it's sold under the name of NLP. So we have a lot of discussion, a lot of, especially because fake NLP trainers, of course, are silent about it. If you accuse them over, hey, what you're doing is fake NLP, they just try to hide and hope that it will pass away without damaging them. But in fact, some NLP trainers tend to jump in front of this oncoming bus. And they go and ask all kind of difficult questions. Who are you to decide what is NLP what's fake NLP or not? But in fact, it's quite easy. If it's not NLP but sold as NLP, yeah, then it's fake NLP, right? That's just too obvious in my book. Of course, anything can be turned into NLP. This is where the NLP trainers make a mistake. But again, that does not make them fake NLP trainers. It's just that they haven't thought it through. But most people would say that neurolinguistic programming consists of that what works. But if that's your definition of neurolinguistic programming, then of course everything that does not work is automatically not part of NLP. So if you sell something that does not work as NLP, then again we have fake NLP. But in reality, it is not everything that works, because NLP, neurolinguistic programming, is a way to map human behaviors, and you can turn anything into NLP, but before it has been turned into NLP, it is not yet NLP. So unfortunately, you see many of the fake NLP trainers literally copying stuff from completely different, often psychotherapeutic, Freudian psychotherapy things, and then basically do literally whatever that psychotherapy school asks of them, That, of course, is not only not NLP, it actually goes against core elements of neurolinguistic programming, in most of the cases, the meta model. So, welcome everyone. If you, Nora-Lisa, if you have a question, please let me know. I'm more than happy to explain everything. I always want to be able to explain whatever I do. Of course, with NLP, if you use the Milton model to influence people, you can say anything to anyone. There is really no, limits to what you can say. Of course, you have then to ask, okay, is what I'm communicating actually helping me achieve my goals? Of course, if it's not, then it's limiting in a way. But in reality, you can basically get away with anything as long as you do it on purpose and consciously. That doesn't mean that you have to be consciously of everything you're saying, but you at least consciously know, okay, I'm saying this not because I believe in it or because I think this is the truth. I'm saying this to influence someone, and then hopefully, but that's not part of NLP, unlike most fake NLP trainers think, hopefully you steer someone to the right direction, but it's not inherently part of NLP that there is a need to steer people into the right direction. Because we have something called the ecology check, which checks is the change good for the person. If you want to influence someone, you're trying to change someone. So we have an ecology check. Is it good for the person? But it's also good for their loved ones. Well, we've done the ABC NLP practitioner online, so you know all about the ecology check. And is it good for society, for the neighborhood, for the planet? And of course, it could very well be that by sending one person to the wrong direction, we actually save the complete planet. President Trump comes to mind, for instance.
Yeah.
And so even though we most often and hopefully steer people into the right direction, that is not a necessary part of NLP. And so there is. Iron Monkey has a question: who defines what is good or bad? Yeah, that is the whole problem with the ecology check, which is the reason why the ecology check is sounds good on paper, works really badly in practice, because often, especially these fake NLP trainers, they think that what they're doing is good, but in reality it is quite bad. Most often, I literally had, but unfortunately for my US speaking audience and for Nora-Lisa, I had this 1 hour or 1.5 hour talk with a fake NLP trainer, and he was constantly saying, "Oh, Joost, you sound so critical. You sound so sour. I think you need a hug." It was, of course, online. We really need to hug. Why don't? I know you just need a little bit of hugging. And I was going, just in my mind, I was going, "Fuck you." But I was saying, "I can live without your hugs. No problem." And then, of course, the moment the camera was turned off and we just went to chat, he was immediately threatening me and saying, "You an asshole, if you do this to me again, and if you publish this, I'm going to crush you." And I was going, okay, what happened to the hugs? So often people who pretend to be good or actually are convinced of themselves that they're acting good, in reality they act quite bad, which immediately shows you the limits of the ecology check. But all of that is quite part of bad NLP. So there are actually 3 options, even though I present it as if there are 2. There is NLP, there is fake NLP, and in between we have bad NLP, which is basically correct NLP, if not for a couple of minor mistakes. So, having said that, let's continue. So here in the website fakenlp.org, we have on the homepage, we have a frequently asked questions. So you can just see all the standard objections that people have against the campaign against fake NLP. But there's also a checklist, a very nice checklist. If I say so myself, I created it. If you fill it in, and then it will actually calculate the probability of the NLP trainer being a fake, of the trainer being a fake NLP trainer or an NLP trainer. We also have results. So here we have a nice list. We can see that, that Kate Benson is highly unlikely to be a fake NLP trainer. Richard Bentley is highly unlikely. John Laval, his right-hand man, is highly unlikely. And you can see that there's a 50% increase that I myself am a fake NLP trainer compared to Kate Benson and Richard Bendler. Nevertheless, 2% is still very low. And you can see even John Grinder gets about the same as me. But with Robert Dilts, we already see that it is quite a jump. Nevertheless, as long as it's below 50%, then it is more likely that someone is an NLP trainer than a fake NLP trainer. So even with 21%, it is not as bad. And then we have a whole bunch of people who the international people have no clue, but some of them are quite well known in the Netherlands. And you can see that depending on how you score on the checklist, the probability of you being a fake NLP trainer can go up quite a lot. And in fact, of course, if you score yes on all 42 criteria, then of course you score 99%. But it is much easier to score 0%. You can even have like 10 or 12 of these items checked as a criteria for fake NLP. Then the other 30 that are not checked are actually more than enough to counter the idea that you are that you should be a fake NLP trainer. Because one of the issues that I have with NLP trainers is that then they find one point in this 42 list of 42 criteria and say, yeah, Joost, but that goes for me. You're calling me a fake NLP trainer. And of course, that is not the case at all. Even though it increases the odds of you being a fake NLP trainer by a little bit, if the other 41 are in the negative, then it remains very, very low. So the first one, here we go. And again, if you have a question, or Lisa, or a remark, or if you disagree with me, or in the chat, if you disagree with me or have questions, please let me know. So the first one is trainer lacks a license to train people as NLP practitioner, NLP master practitioner. The only one who is handing out licenses is Richard Bendler. And this does not mean that if you are an NLP trainer without such a license, that you're automatically a fake NLP trainer. Again, it is the context and depending on what other things are checked here. But in reality, it is the case that Richard Bendler trains all his trainers himself. That means that the distance between him and the NLP trainer is very little. It also is highly likely that they will copy pretty much Richard Bendler's manual, which is, of course, the gold standard for what is NLP. And if there's a very short line and it's easy to copy the correct formulas, then of course it's highly unlikely that you are a fake NLP trainer. And the opposite is also the case. So if there are many NLP trainers between you and Richard Bendler, it all started in 1970 with Richard Bendler, but if like for some people there are like 20 or 30 trainers in between those the trainer that told them and Richard Bendler. And of course, the more trainers are in between, the higher, more likely it becomes that the message becomes distorted, that there are things added that are no NLP at all, and that you actually get fake NLP. The opposite is also true. Yes, some licensed NLP trainers who are able to license people as practitioners, master practitioners, are quite bad. But then you're talking about bad NLP rather than fake NLP. And on top of that is that the percentage is quite low because they are trained by the source and they have access to the manual of the source. So this is first a good indication. Then this is continued in the second criteria. The trainer trains people to become an NLP trainer. To prevent the whole issue of fake NLP, Richard Bendler forbids the people he trains to train other people trainers. He prevents this whole pyramid that has now started to exist within NLP. It's becoming more and more as a Ponzi scheme because, of course, if you're on top of the pyramid, you're doing quite well. But each generation, each person that is trained as a trainer actually discovers that he can't do much anything else because of the fake NLP, except train other people. And then, of course, they're going to train as practitioners, master practitioners, but then also going to train themselves, people to become new NLP trainers, and then they create another layer. So let's say on average that those trainers train one new generation of NLP trainers every year. And those will, of course, train also new NLP trainers. You can see that there's this pyramid that is building with more and more NLP trainers, having more and more distance to actually the source. And that's the reason why it's a bad idea. And the third criterion is closely related. The trainer calls himself a master trainer. Now, there is simply no, so he's not a licensed master trainer. It's basically the same as the original first criterion, except here's a bit of a difference. It's because Richard Bendler is the only one who handed out the licensed NLP master trainer certificates and licenses. And there is no, there is no formal schooling that you can follow. There's no program that if you just follow the program, you'll become automatically a master trainer yourself. It's only by the, the subjective interpretation of how good you are of Richard Bendler himself. Of course, this for fake NLP trainers, they if you fake it, then you can, of course, why call yourself a NLP trainer if you're faking it? So you better call yourself an NLP master trainer. So once they discovered that, now you have so many trainers who basically printed out their own NLP master trainer certificate, which is a good idea if you want to fake stuff. But of course, it is bad if you look at it of, basically defrauding the people you sell the courses to. Now, I don't know, I lost track. I think this is where we are, the fifth one. This is a new topic. So we have done the whole who was your trainer and how many trainers are there in between you and Richard Bendler. And now we switch to something else, namely that a lot of fake NLP is more therapy than training programs. And they call NLP a form of therapy or a form of psychotherapy. And of course, this is completely against the grain of NLP. NLP actually started out in the 70s as a criticism of psychotherapists. And Richard Bendler still calls them Psycho the Rapist. He said, it's on your door, it says Psycho the Rapist. And but of course, science is also a little bit later than NLP discovered that Freudian psychotherapy is complete bullshit. There's no university that teaches anymore. It is not covered by any medical insurance anymore. So it's just nonsense. And why is it nonsense? Because it thinks that people are broken, that they are ill, that they are sick, that they need to be healed and repaired. Where in reality, NLP is a educational tool. NLP doesn't think that you're broken or sick or ill and that you need to be healed or repaired. No, if you are unable to deal with a difficult situation, that is because you haven't learned yet how to deal with it. So it's an educational viewpoint rather than a medical viewpoint.
So I have a question.
Yes.
If I'm explaining to someone, for example, if I'm working with someone who is trying to get rid of a traumatic experience, like using the theater technique,
Right.
What's the proper terminology then?
I would say coaching.
Okay.
Coaching or one-on-one training. So what you're actually doing. So, of course, coaching is very well acceptable. But there's a small issue is that most education for coaches teaches this very hand-off way of coaching people, where they say, no, you as a coach don't have solutions, but you need to create an environment of safety where you basically hold the hands of the coachee, and then you hope that the coachee herself or himself will come up with the solutions. And that's, of course, unlike how NLP works. NLP works much more directive, much more, okay, I have solutions. They don't work for everyone, but we're going to try out to see whether they work for you. And that means that that is more of if it's a one-on-one relationship, it's more of one-on-one training program rather than a coaching program. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a bit of issue with the translations, because my favorite word to use is a German word called abrichten. And in German, it really sounds nice. But it literally is translated as training in English. But in Dutch, we have africhten, which sounds pretty much as abrichten. But it's way more negative than the Germans mean it. So the Germans mean with abrichten training. The Dutch means, I say, more training of dogs when we use africhten. But that is a way of looking at it. That is that you're basically you're training someone to better use their brain in terms of what do I feel, what do I visualize, and how do I deal with my inner self-talk.
Right.
But it is not therapy. That is just a better way of thinking. He already outed himself as Jeremy, so I'm going to call him Jeremy. This is very clarifying. I find the term coaching to be quite ambiguous in common uses. It is. And so one-on-one training is how I see if I would clarify it indeed, and I say it's one-on-one training. But if I'd sell it, I would sell it as coaching. And of course, that idea that NLP is a psychotherapy is not only limited to them selling it, but also to what's actually happening in the training programs, because the training programs are often more a kind of group therapy than a training program. So often it is basically that they select one person. That person has to tell everything that is wrong with him. He is supposed to cry a lot while doing it. And then the rest of the people are going to hug him, and that is supposedly NLP. Of course, if you have done NLP, this is pretty much what we don't like to do, as hence the reason why it increases the probability that it's fake NLP. The trainer presents NLP as a form of psychology. Again, NLP is not a form of psychology. NLP is a way of using cybernetics to map human behaviors. And then we can optimize those human behaviors and use hypnosis to learn them themselves and then hand them out to other people who want to know them. But it is not a form of psychology. Trainer pretends that NLP is scientific. Of course, yeah, if you're going to fake it and you're going to fake that you're a master trainer, why not also fake that NLP would be scientific? It probably sells better. But in reality, NLP is not scientific at all. So that is a whole section of criteria. Then one that is also of I find very telling, that is the trainer does not coach people one-on-one. So unfortunately, especially because there's now this huge pyramid of all these trainers, and there's a lot of distance between Richard Bentler and these trainers, is that they had learned NLP, or what they think it is NLP. Often, of course, they learned fake NLP. And this is also, I don't blame them. I do blame them in the sense that if you have done it for 3 or 4 years of so-called NLP, but in reality fake NLP, and by then you have not yet noticed that what you learned is fake, and then of course you're partly to blame. But the person mostly to blame is of course the trainer who taught them, because they handed out fake NLP. And that's also the problem, is that these new NLP trainers, I literally had a discussion on LinkedIn this week, where he said, I ignore whatever you're saying, I don't care, piss off. And I said, okay, but I hope you realize that you are going to pass on fake NLP to the next generation of NLP trainers that you are going to train. But because they have only learned it in classes, it's very theoretical, their learnings. They have never applied it to real humans. And that means that they are just going to come up with this very theoretical story that they're going to pass on to their trainees. And of course, the story doesn't work already because they have fake NLP and they misunderstand it. And then they do the things differently, why the effectiveness of NLP also drops quite a bit. And then they make shit up to basically cover the fact that it doesn't work and doesn't make sense, and then they're going to add more fake NLP to the already existing fake NLP. Of course, if you have no qualms about lying to people, then you might well say, "Oh, but I do train people one-on-one. I just do it hidden." This is what I often hear fake NLP trainers say. "No, Joost, but I do coach them one-on-one, but just behind the scene. I'm not taking credits for it." Well, maybe you're simply not doing it. So that's why it's important that there's not only that not only the trainer coaches one-on-one, but that actually he has a website where you can hire him or her. This is just to make sure that we catch those liars. And here, this of course, Richard Bentler does not have a public website where you can hire him, and when people get all upset, Richard doesn't have this. I know, but still, I have seen Richard coach people one-on-one on backstage when he was here in Amsterdam on the seminar that I organized for him. So that he only fails at one, but it is not enough, as we have seen, to increase the probability, as 1% is the lowest that the whole system works. There's a question by Iron Monkey: aren't all these criteria presuppositions? I'm not sure whether these are presuppositions. You can maybe you mean assumptions, because presuppositions would force truths onto you, but I'm not sure whether having a public website where you can hire someone as a coach is quite specific. So often that is not a presupposition as a language pattern. But maybe you use assumptions. You say, okay, Joost, you're going to assume that if someone doesn't have a public website, that he's a fake NLP trainer. That's true, but that's why we use probabilities. So if there are only one or two of those criteria are met, then in total the probability will be very low that someone is a fake NLP trainer. But if many of these criteria are met, of course, then the probability rises. And so maybe you mean assumptions. If so, let me know. Then we'll see. The trainer does not do his or her coaching on a no cure, no pay principle. I'm always amazed that the excuses that coaches come up why they are not working with on a no cure, no pay basis. But in reality, if you coach someone and it's not working, then why should you be paid? This is one that I it's a new one that I could not believe, but that I nevertheless found out. The trainer asks you to believe in NLP. This is just, to my brain, that is so weird. If you ask neuro-linguistic programming is about mapping human behaviors in terms of the 5 senses, and then trying out those behaviors to see whether they work for you or not. And if they don't work, you have the TOTI model, so that you can use feedback loops in order to see if you can get it to work with some changes. But at no point there should be a point where the trainer says, "Yep, you have to believe it. It's a religion. That's the next one. I already go ahead of myself. Is that they say NLP only works if you believe in it? No, NLP either works or it doesn't work, and it is independent on whether you believe in it or not. And of course, you already saw that Robert Dilts was in the list. This is the reason why this is in the list, because I was shocked when I saw a quote from one of Robert Dilts' books, where he actually says you have to believe in NLP, and it only works if you believe in it, or it works better if you believe in it. No, NLP will work or it does not work, and whether you believe in it has nothing to do with it. And it also doesn't have any influence. And if you believe in NLP, whether it's going to work better or not. NLP works or doesn't work. If it works, it has to do with you controlling your feelings, your visualizations, and your inner self-talk. And that's all about it. And there is no believing part in it. Then, this is another one that I actually came across when I when fake NLP trainers had harmed somebody, so much damage that she actually had to be sent to a psychiatric hospital and lost her job. Her employee sent her to the training program, and she lost her job and is still disabled from it for life, probably. And part of that whole disaster was because the trainer said, well, you have to trust the process. Well, the moment a trainer says to trust the process, he basically tells you, I have no fucking idea what is happening. I'm in complete panic attack myself, but I understand that if I'm going to say that I don't understand it and I'm in a panic attack, that is going to make the situation worse. So I have now this Hail Mary. I'm just going to say, trust the process, and I hope that time will heal you, because I have no idea what to do. And it just makes no sense. It is a clear indication that you have to deal with a fake NLP trainer if he's going to say that trust the process. A good NLP trainer, or an NLP trainer even, would not say trust the process. He would understand what process is going on, and then would actually say, hey, it seems that you are doing too much of this or too little of that. Maybe change your visualization. So it's actually going to give you very concrete and detailed instructions, rather than just such a general thing like trust the process. That's just a bad idea.
So, as opposed to saying trust the process, what would be a good thing to say to someone if, like, for example, if I'm stuck, like if I were trying to teach someone NLP and if I get stuck and someone's not making progress?
Yes, well, of course, what you do is you start to debug the current technique or the current process that you're doing by being very specific. Okay, we have 5 senses. Which of those 5 senses are we currently working with? What's not working with it? For instance, if you have the black and white rebinding technique, then I had a person who was unable to. Oh, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. I'm unable to make it the colored picture into a black and white picture. Okay, no problem. Then we're going to work with it. And what you then do is that you use chunking. You go chunking down in this case to actually be very specific. Okay, what doesn't work? That's why I know that the person was unable to turn a colored picture into black and white. And then the next step is to simplify the process. So I was trying, okay, but can you make a black and white picture of it? No, he couldn't. Or he couldn't. And then I said, okay, but what does it help if you think of it not in black and white, but in all these grayscales? Because sometimes they think black and white is just the contrast too high, and if you give them 265 grayscales, then suddenly they can do it. But no, the person was unable to do it either. And then I have a final trick up my sleeve. I said, okay, but can you make a color picture of a ping pong ball? And of course, yes, that I can do. Then I said, okay, and now make a black and white picture of the ping pong ball. I said, I can't do it. I said, that's literally the same picture, because the ping pong ball is of course white.
Oh, yeah.
And then suddenly he clicked in his brain. He said, okay, oh, that's what you mean. And then he could make the situation that the bad stuff was behind him. Then he could turn that into black and white. And so, of course, I could have said, yeah, you can always say trust the process. So I'm not unable to make it in black and white. Oh, no matter, trust the process. But that doesn't help. In fact, It often makes things worse. And so what you do is you use the strategy elicitation techniques, submodalities techniques, to actually find out which is the change that we request of the coachee or the trainee that he's unable to make, and then simplify it to see if you can find other situations, easier situations, where he can actually make that change. And as soon as he's made a change, then you want to generalize that experience back towards the original problematic step. Ben has another suggesting for another question. Does their traveling assistant drink at the bar and talk about their suicidality? Yeah, that might be very specific. I've seen it twice at seminars at the resort. Horrific. Well, I've been to a seminar where everyone got a this was an all-inclusive resort, 5-star Hilton all-inclusive resort, but all the all-inclusive was including food, but also drinks. And on day one, everybody was in the seminar. On day two, we found out that most of the participants, but especially the staff, had been drinking very, very, very heavily, and that impacted, of course, the quality of the course. So the year after, they had the all-inclusive resort, but we only had these plastic bins that was for all the food you can eat. But there was no longer drinks. Yes, and actually, alcohol. I don't think it's a criterion for fake NLP, but it is, of course, a criterion for bad NLP. Is that there is a lot of problems with alcoholism within NLP trainers. Many NLP trainers are drinking way too much alcohol. Then, something that always is a sign that something goes really bad. And that is you feel bad during the training. That's if you're doing stuff that makes you feel bad, stop doing it. That goes for therapy. It goes for psychologists, for psychiatrist, but also for NLP training programs. And even worse, if you even feel bad before you are in the training program, but you wake up and you, oh no, I have to go to an NLP training program. I don't want to. That's also a good indication that something is very wrong. Mm-hmm. Here you can see that I've taken feedback too hard. It used to be the trainer doesn't include hypnosis, and then some person pointed me out that some areas of the world hypnosis is not illegal to be taught by NLP people. So now it says training doesn't include hypnosis where hypnosis can legally be taught. NLP is a way of doing hypnosis covertly, especially, or I should say, actually, that was before the 90s. Since the 90s, we are quite open about it. But it has been so covert in the 80s that let's say 80% of people who sell NLP do not know that it's actually hypnosis what they're selling. Dus if there's no hypnosis, that's a clear indication that there is fake NLP. Then, of course, we have the trainer talks about trance work or trance without actually hypnosis. So we want to have people at least like this sitting closed-eyed, so we know that they're actually being hypnotized. And some people, there's like 80% of the people who sell NLP are clueless about the fact that they're doing hypnosis. And then there's another like 18% who knows about hypnosis, but doesn't know enough about hypnosis, and then says, yeah, but we're doing trance work, which basically means that he is asking you to close your eyes, and then he's going to tell a story. Of course, that is not enough to qualify as hypnosis. Then there's a written exam at the end of the training. Well, NLP is all about training your brain, but especially the unconscious part of your brain processes to act more smartly, do stuff better. And if you are studying for a written exam, then you're asking your brain to consciously reproduce what you have learned. And that is basically teaching the same things that you hopefully learned unconsciously to different parts of your brain. And whenever you then want to activate those behaviors, of course, there are two different parts of your brain have knowledge about it. They feel both that it's their responsibility to start to act, and you get a conflict within the brain. So it's really bad to have a written exam at the end of an NLP training. I'm probably going to do a expose on modeling, even though in the English world there's less of a need to model stuff, but in the Netherlands, all these fake NLP trainers ask you to write a very thick 30 to 60, sometimes 19 pages of modeling. Well, they are clueless about what modeling is. Fortunately, because modeling is quite dangerous if you would do it right. But they want to pretend that they're higher education, and they say, no, okay, if you're higher education, you're going to write your thesis. So they want to have the modeling report as a kind of thesis. And of course, well, in the Netherlands, we have looked at these reports because fortunately one of the bigger institutes publishes them online and has no clue about the complete bullshit that are in there. So, but I should see if I can find one in English, so I can do an expose on English that is very clarifying that if NLP trainers talk about modeling, most of the time they are fake NLP trainers and they are clueless what modeling really entails. Then we get a number of specifics that I've come across. One of the most common across is that they say, "But Joost, you have to respect the model of the world of everyone." And my brain goes, "Really? Really? For everyone?" No, nowadays we see the Taliban fighters conquer Afghanistan. But you really should respect their model of the world. Well, if they're going to torture women and children, no criticisms, you have to respect the model of the world. Of course, this is nonsense. Sure, there are some people who have deserved, or how I say, have done such brilliant things that you almost automatically have respect for the model of the world and want to learn from them. But there are that is some people, and so not seeing the difference between everyone and some people is a big indication that there is a fake NLP trainer. There's a good question by Jeremy. What is the difference between mapping and modeling? Well, when we map human behaviors, we do it in what with an NLP is called an NLP strategy, and it is very limited to maybe one strategy or two or three. But the model is the complete set of all relevant NLP strategies. So a model is much richer than a single or even two or three strategies. And so if you, for instance, would say, I'm going to model Elon Musk. I also want to be this genius who is going to create all these companies that are revolutionizing space and electric cars and solar panels and stuff like that. That is going to take hundreds, if not thousands, of different NLP strategies. So you want to know, okay, how is his Twitter behavior? How is his behavior in the boardroom? How is his negotiation with the government? How is he leading the troops? And that means that you get such, if you were able to do it, you get such a rich amount of NLP strategies that it's highly likely that there's somewhere in those strategies you will find submodalities combinations that are actually quite negative for people to take on. Or if you were to map a single behavior, rather than make a complete model of Elon Musk, you say, no, I really like what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter. He's so good at harnessing or provoking the media. I want to learn that. That might be one or two strategies. And if you again see those strategies, you have very limited information about a limited behavior. And you are very capable of actually checking to see whether there are any unwanted negative implications of those strategies. So that's in short the difference between mapping and modeling. Yeah, let's do it. I want to go to Mars. Mars is there's not a lot of air on Mars. Oxygen is quite important for humans, and but if you want to go there, take a lot of oxygen with you. But of course, that's also one of the reasons why these modeling reports makes no sense, because in reality they don't have access to brilliant minds. They just model the neighbor, because the neighbor is such a self-confident person with so much self-confidence. Then I've included this because many times these fake NLP trainers throw it at my lap, and then they say, yeah, Joost, you have all your criticism, but the map is not the territory. The map is not the territory. as if that says everything. In reality, it doesn't say everything, because the sentence is not complete. The whole sentence says something along the lines of the map is not the territory, but has the similar structure as the territory, which explains why the map is useful. So there are many, if you call everything a map, that is pretty senseless to begin with, but let's go with that. But then you have created many things that are so-called maps that are completely useless. So if people say to me, Joost, you have your map and I have my map, that doesn't add anything to what we want to know. I'm going to block the sun for a moment, because it's still then my claim is still that, okay, you have your map, you have your map and I have my map, but my map is useful and your map is useless. So if people, if trainers think that just randomly shouting the map is not a territory helps them in any way, then they are fake NLP trainers, or the probability increases that there are fake NLP trainers. And presuppositions, we already came across it. It's quite a technical, difficult subject, and is often misunderstood, which is which will turn NLP into bad NLP, not necessarily fake NLP. But the reaction of fake NLP trainers is basically throw them out of the curriculum and not teach them at all. Okay, if you can't make sense of it, it should be the NLP reaction. If you can't make sense of it, is learn more and not throw it out of the book. You had a question, Nora-Lisa, or just me interpreting your body language wrongly?
Oh, I'm still ingesting what you were saying. I'm thinking.
No problem. The same goes for cause and effect. Of course, NLP teaches within the meta model that cause and effect talk is a distortion of communications, and that when you clarify stuff, there's no need for cause and effect at all. Again, they misunderstand that, which is no problem, because then you make from NLP bad NLP, which is also problematic, of course, but not as big a problem as fake NLP. But what then happens, because they misunderstand it, and that somehow they have never learned, when you misunderstand something, you don't understand yourself, to go out in the world and learn more. Is it that they then just come up with this idea that, okay, there's a problem with cause and effect, but the problem is that you're standing on the side of the effect and not on the side of the cause. Which is, well, even if you believe in cause and effect, it makes no sense. It's like saying, yeah, but nothing happens to me because everything that happens to me, I've done myself, because I stand at the side of the cause. I stood at the cause of my birth. Some people say that my parents were the cause, but in reality, I stand at the cause. So it makes no sense. It is complete bullshit, and it is a clear indication that you are dealing with a fake NLP trainer. Again, complex equivalence is quite a technical topic. Often it is misunderstood, and then we create bad NLP, because then people say, okay, we're going to say, okay, if people say such a thing, then the complex equivalence is that it means something else. Of course, this is not the case. It is A is B. It's only a complex equivalence if there's an actual equivalence. But again, the fake NLP trainers, by not understanding and just throw it out of the book, out of the course, so that they that they're not confronted with their own misunderstanding, rather than just go out and learn more. Actually, all this stuff is learnable. It's not like these are secret things and that you have to pass through a hidden initiation rite before you can learn it. No, you can actually learn this stuff. Same goes for modal operators of necessity and impossibility. People don't understand it, throw it out of the course. The TOTI model, test, operate, test, exit, it is the heart of NLP, but nevertheless there are, I call them fake NLP courses that do not teach the TOTI model. So this is all the stuff that is lacking. Now we switch to the stuff that is there but should not be there. Six-step reframing, probably the most famous NLP technique there is, but unfortunately also quite a problematic NLP technique. It was Richard Bandler created it in the 70s, second half of the 70s, to get psychotherapists to become hypnotists without them knowing it. NLP started out as criticism of psychotherapy. They discovered that all the superstars of the field of psychotherapy were very capable of influencing people despite their pseudo-therapeutic ideas. They were good at their work despite believing in all the bullshit Freud sold them. Why? Because they were quite natural at doing hypnosis. And so Richard Bandler said, okay, let's teach a psychotherapist hypnosis, then finally become a little bit more effective. And then all the psychotherapists said, no, we don't want to. Hypnosis is bad. It doesn't exist. And it is dangerous, which is a very awkward, or I say, not a sign of a great intellectual mind if you think that something is dangerous and does not exist at the same time. So Richard Bandler created a couple of techniques. Personal change history is one of them, but also 6-step reframing, where you go also as if it were inside of yourself, asking for parts of you being responsible for the problem. You go out and you go in, and you go out and you go in. And this is, of course, for the people who know hypnosis very well, this is what you call fragmentation, where people actually go into a trance by fragmenting their relaxation and wakefulness state. And it's all very good, works quite well. People love it. It made NLP popular because now people had this great experience. Wow, I did NLP. I went inside myself and I got a sign from my unconscious mind telling that there was a part of me that was responsible for the problem. And then I went out and I went back in, and there was a different part that was actually responsible for the solution. And then I asked him to come up with these negotiations, and then we solved the problem. Wow, and felt great, of course. They were very relaxed doing it because they were being hypnotized without them knowing it. So that worked well. It was wonderful and made NLP as popular as it is today. Nevertheless, there was a little side issue. That is, in very rare cases, people got multiple personality syndrome issues. Where they would go, okay, I have to go in and ask if there's a part of me that is responsible for the problem. And then the response would not be a feeling or a twitch or whatever unconscious sign you would get, but they actually hear this voice inside their head saying, yeah, I'm responsible and I'm Hank. That was, of course. And this is the issue. This is all the issues that people say, Joost, why are you so concerned on fake NLP? Who cares? Well, there are long-term negative consequences for fake NLP because they destroy the good name of NLP. If it had a good name, but at least it prevents it from repairing our name. But there are also very, literally people who are being harmed by fake NLP. I already said, I've talked about the lady who was sent to the psychiatric hospital. There is a whole list of victims on the fake NLP website. So here's the psychiatric hospital report, sexual abuse that happens. A participant got beaten up by a fake NLP trainer. Someone was almost killed by an NLP trainer. So there are all these issues. So there are actually real issues. And again, they are very rare. But the problem is that they're also very easy to prevent. And if we, of course, can prevent harm, why would we not do it? And so 6-step reframing, even though it works wonderful, it's fantastic, it made NLP popular, it's much better to do it in the new modern way, using open hypnosis, or openly using hypnosis, rather than try to trick the people into going into trance with the risk of them having a multiple personality syndrome issues. I should probably also do a complete afternoon of a complete evening on the topic of Dilt's logical levels. I think when Dilt does the logical levels, it's brilliant NLP as it's supposed to be, because he is using the logical levels to turn people into Buddhists or Hindus. There's another case. There are no cases that even real NLP trainers cause some harm by accident. Probably. The list that I know is only the tip of the iceberg. So so in reality, it is probably a much bigger problem. Even though I think that my estimation that it happens to one person in 1,000 who participates in an NLP or a fake NLP training. But nevertheless, the cases that I know involve fake NLP trainers, and were easily prevented had the fake NLP trainer known real NLP. So that I don't doubt that there will be also cases where real NLP trainers harm people. But yeah, so far there have not come to my attention. Or let me put it differently. Actually, we have gotten complaints about, but there was no harm. But there were people who were complaining about NLP trainers. And what happens if I then contact them and say, hey, this person is complaining about you? They react very calmly, say, oh, that is terrible. I'm going to contact them. I'm going to send them flowers. I'm going to shake their hands, apologize for what I've done wrong. And hopefully that will be good enough. And then in all the cases that I had to deal with such a situation, indeed, it solved the problem with no problem. Whereas when we get complaints about fake NLP trainers, and I contact them and say, hey, there's an issue that someone is complaining about you, this and this is going on, they explode. They go, oh, you fucker, you're not supposed to interfere with that. Who are you to interfere? I said, I'm not interfering. I'm just offering my services as a mediator to get this complaint out of the world. And they say, well, no, they're wrong. They're wrong. I'm going to kick their ass. And actually, I got threatened twice by now by very long letters of lawyers, hired lawyers. And I sent them a pretty short letter. Others, my lawyer, sent them a pretty short letter that we said, you were threatening us with a lawsuit. Oh, we can't wait. Please send us the paperwork for the lawsuit. We love to go to court over this. And then it never happened, of course, because I'm not that lucky that they're actually going to sue me, even though I always pray to God every single day. Oh, dear God, would you please find me a fake NLP trainer who's going to sue me? But unfortunately, they don't. So let's continue, because it's already about almost 8, and we're, I think, on 2/3. So we still have to go a bit. Then the trainer talks about the field. Well, there are so many different fields. For almost every fake NLP trainer comes up with its own fake field. And so this could actually be the electromagnetic field, which is a real field, by the way. And then they say, Joost, but your heart has an electromagnetic field that is 4,000 times stronger than your brain. You should use your heart because of the electromagnetic field. But in reality, if you put a battery between your two fingers, then it will also create a electromagnetic field, which is almost 10,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of your heart. But yeah, then I would say, no, you have to think with the battery. The battery is a strong electromagnetic field. Again, I don't mind people talking about fields if they use it as a Milton model in hypnosis. If they think, okay, I'm going to hypnotize these people by talking about the field, perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that these trainers, no, Joost, but this is a real field. I know it. This is a real field. And then they become true believers rather than NLP trainers, and that makes them fake NLP trainers. Now, I already had a request to do a evening program on systemic work and family constellations. This is Freudian psychotherapy that is copied one-on-one into fake NLP training programs, and they actually teach things that stand, completely against the basic tenets of NLP. And that actually, if you learn both at the same time, will actually screw up your brain, because then you're learning basically, okay, in order to have a happy life, you have to go left here. But if you go left, we're going to punish you. So that is a very negative suggestion. Of course, transactional analysis is another, psychotherapy that has no place within NLP, even though John Grinder has a background in transactional analysis. Trainer doesn't include satires, roles, or categories. This is an interesting one, because actually in the first book on NLP, The Structure of Magic, where, by the way, NLP was not yet called NLP, there are satire, roles, and categories. So who am I to say that that's not NLP? True. So normally you would say, okay, if a person who uses it is not NLP, it's bad NLP, because basically we found out that they had no place within NLP. So this is an indication that someone is using stuff that is out of date, but unfortunately using out of date stuff is not only an indication that it's probably bad NLP, but often also an indication that it's actually fake NLP. So while the satire, roles, and categories are not per se fake NLP, if trainers teach them, it increases the likelihood that there is a fake NLP trainer. Here we have another favorite of mine, because this is what I always get accused of. That's why I'm not at 1%, but at 2%. I just thought, okay, let's agree with my critics, see where I stand if they were right. I don't think I include the Enneagram in my work. I include the Neurogram, and the Neurogram is my special version of the Enneagram, completely adapted to be compatible with NLP. Nevertheless, I'm not going to argue over it here. So I'll accept this, but again, that only raises the probability of me being a fake NLP trainer from 1% to 2%. But unfortunately, other NLP trainers do include the Enneagram, Spiral Dynamics, or MBTI, and that all runs across basic tenets of NLP. It goes against core elements. In that same line of thought, if you teach meta programs as if they're personality traits, they are not personality traits, they're brain filters, then you probably misunderstood NLP, and that is highly likely to be an indication of you being a fake NLP trainer. My detractors sometimes call me a cult leader. I hope my cult is okay without me. Yes, hopefully. It would be a very bad cult if you actually had to lead them. Here's another indication. Of course, the explaining meta programs as analog rather than digital, the meaning that they say, okay, for instance, if you look at introvert or extrovert, it's not a on-off switch where you're either extroverted or filtering, setting the brain filters to extrovert or setting the brain filters to introvert. No, they say you can actually score on introvert, extrovert, where you can score from, say, 5 points on introversion to 5 points on extroversion, and they make this kind of analog where you can dial in the amount of introversion or extroversion you have. It makes no sense. Normally that would say, if that's the only issue, it's bad NLP, but of course it's also a clear indication that you have to deal with a fake NLP program, of a fake NLP trainer, not a program. There we go. Next one. The trainer explains meta programs as if they are fixed. It should be another S there. I'm going to see if I can get rid of the typo there. Explains meta programs as if they are fixed. This is, of course, also bad NLP. That is an indication of fake NLP trainers, because meta programs can actually be set different, these filters, by using hypnosis. So those were all the content-wise parts that are wrong. Then we still have a couple, but we're almost done. You do not get a refund if you cancel the training program. Of course, if you're selling fake NLP, you know that people are likely to cancel if they find out that it's fake NLP. So you come up with these contracts where they do not get a refund. If an NLP trainer is quite confident in his own NLP training programs, then he should also offer refunds, because in practice, almost nobody would take you up on it if you're an NLP trainer. And those cases that people do take you up on it, there's probably a good reason for it. And then we have another couple of ones that are latecomers to the content. The trainer teaches that perception is projection, very popular in the Netherlands. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, also in Australia and other parts of the world. So probably also in the US. This is actually from Carl Jung. Carl Jung is a Freudian psychotherapist, and it makes no sense. Perception is a very active interactive process between your brain and the environment, but it is something different than projection. This is one that I added because I just came across it. So we only have 3 more to go and then we're done for today. But this one I actually had to deal with last month, where the trainer had participants sign a contract that told had a passage that said, under no circumstances you can sue this trainer for whatever ever again in your life. So of course these are highly unlikely to be upheld by courts, but it would basically mean that if the NLP trainer in 5 years' time would enter your property and rob you under gunpoint, that you could not sue him according to the contract. But again, yeah, these contracts are made. First of all, why the fuck do you sign a contract for a training program in the first place? But these contracts are basically used because they know that their selling is fake, and they know what they're selling is fake NLP, and they have quite a high chance of people wanting refunds and suing people and suing the people over it because it's that bad that people get so pissed off that they say, I'm going to sue this trainer, and they want to exclude it. So of course, if you're asked to sign contracts like that, it's a very strong indication that you have to deal with a fake NLP trainer. And then we have some of my pet projects, at least one of them. That is, I think, but it's my thing, that if you clarify something, you should put your money where your mouth is and actually offer bets on it. And so, for instance, with fake NLP trainers, if you score over 50%, I'm more than willing to give you a very good odds that if I were to look into the manual of the fake NLP trainer, that I would find major mistakes that prove my point that we have to deal with the fake NLP trainer. And if so, I'm willing to pay, like, let's say 10,000 euros if I get a manual, and in hindsight, I have to admit that maybe there were a couple of minor errors, but there were no major flaws in the manual, then I'm happy to pay 10,000 euros as long as the NLP of the fake NLP trainer pays me 1,000 euros if I find major flaws and stuff that goes against the core elements of NLP and the basic tenets of NLP. So I think if you clarify something, you need to put your money where your mouth is. You need to offer at least the one, I say, odds as the one-on-one. I say that if you are right, I pay you, and if I am right, you pay me. But I prefer it even more if you give your critic much better odds than you have to have yourself. But of course, this happens many times. When I ask the fake NLP trainer who discusses something with me, okay, this is your point of view, great. Are you willing to bet on it? And then they say, no, I don't believe in money. I don't think that money is important. And you get all these excuses, but in reality, it's a clear sign that they're doubting themselves. Okay, I already saw the next one, which is, oh my gosh, voice to text ruined that. See if you can translate it. What are the things I like about what you do is that you are mixing probably NLP with other fields. Great. I don't think I'm mixing NLP with other fields. I think I am incorporating other fields by turning them into NLP strategies, but that's a minor technical point. I'm getting the idea that this is a sign that you are a fake and I'll be a trainer. I don't actually think you are, but I like to hear your comment on this. Yes, so I do incorporate a lot of other fields, but what I work very hard at is to make sure that I first turn the other thing into NLP. For instance, my statistical work is based on subjective Bayesian statistics. And then I show that that is completely compatible with NLP, that there are no contradictions. Nowhere does subjective Bayesian statistics say anything that goes against the core elements of NLP or the basic tenets of NLP. In fact, they support it. The name subjective Bayesian statistics already is a good indication that it is pretty much in line with the focus of NLP on subjective experience. So I am happy to, for instance, I introduced the triangulation model, Donald Davidson's triangulation model, that I'm going to talk about Friday, but probably in Dutch. I included that in NLP, but again, I used it as a replacement of the surface and depth structure, which is basically the same model, and just that Donald Davidson has explained it better. So whenever I'm incorporating other fields, I turn them into NLP and only then teach them at the same time as NLP to make sure that we nowhere go against the grain of NLP. Ben Mac, I love this guarantee. Let's write up the bet and have this as Joost's personal chapter in fastermagic.com. That is fantastic. How more exposure to all the bets that I'm offering, the better. I only have made money so far of the bets that I entered. So Jeremy says, let me clarify, mixing NLP with other fields, is it a red flag? I like you to do that. It's probably a question. Sometimes it depends on what you mean with mixing. So if you're teaching systemic work at the same time as NLP, but the systemic work that you teach is literally one-on-one, as it is taught by Bert Hellinger, then we know that you're teaching Freudian psychotherapy. And we know that NLP is against Freudian psychotherapy. So that is a field that needs a lot of adaptation before it can be taught safely combined with NLP or in the same program as NLP. So some fields are very bad to combine with NLP if you have not taken the work of actually turning it into NLP. But if you look at physics, I don't think that there's anything within NLP that contradicts physics. So you can easily combine NLP with physics. You don't have to turn the whole of physics into NLP physics before you can combine it. No, actually, there's nothing in physics that contradicts NLP. So mixing some fields with NLP is a red flag, and mixing other fields with NLP is not a red flag at all. If you are going to mix quantum mechanics with NLP, there's nothing in NLP that contradicts quantum mechanics. Iron Monkey, how do you stand out as NLP trainer then? Well, I think that if you teach NLP as it's supposed to be, then you're already standing out. So one way of standing out is actually become a licensed NLP trainer with Richard Bandler. I think there's about 10%, but in the Netherlands about 10%, but it has to do with my combined everlasting, I'm not sure what the English word is, but my relentless, that's the word, my relentless propaganda for Richard Bandler. So we have about 1 in 10 NLP trainers who actually teach NLP as a licensed NLP trainer, but worldwide the percentage is maybe 2 or 3%. So you can stand out as a licensed NLP trainer. Here with Iron Monkey. So isn't that against one of the criteria regarding science-based? Let me check what you mean. That is probably that here we have the trainer pretends that NLP is scientific. Yeah, no, I think that is different. So if NLP is in nowhere against science, it is very pro-science, but that doesn't mean that NLP itself is scientific. That has just not yet, it has not yet been proven. There hasn't been formulated a scientific theory of NLP, but actually I have, but it's only going to be published September 6th in Dutch. But September 6th in Dutch, there will be a scientific theory of NLP. And then we hopefully get 2 universities on board here in the Netherlands to actually test it. So we're in the process of testing it. But that doesn't mean that you can't. You can't push NLP into science because it's not scientific. But you can, of course, do the other way around. You can use science within NLP. What is the academic word for combining fields? I don't know. That is interdepartmental. Is it in the Netherlands? You mentioned DILTs turning people into Buddhists or Hindus. I think they're very complementary to NLP. Would you comment on it? Yes, I like to comment on it. I don't know whether it's actually that complementary to NLP. I think NLP is quite a neutral tool, and with one exception, that the Toti model almost demands that you value freedom. So it is very difficult if you're a hyper-determinist and you think everything is determined, to become a great NLP person, because NLP people tend to think that freedom is important. I teach NLP at Hindus in Delhi, at the local, I do the NLP practitioner course in Delhi for the locals. Well, these are the well-off locals, not also the very rich, but also the mid-level people. I'm not teaching the very poor people, and they have plenty of those in India. I don't. These are very liberal, open-minded people, up until the moment you mention something that goes against their Hindu dogma, and then they have no room for freedom whatsoever. So I'm not sure. I think it's more the opposite, that our Western interpretation of Buddhism and Hindu, and I'm not sure about Buddhism, but I do know about Hindu, is that it's pretty much how we in the West interpret Hindus as these freedom-loving, meditating, such a nice people. But in reality, Hindus are daily bombing their opponents in India. We don't hear about it because it's just no longer any news. But if you actually spend time in India and you read the local newspapers, then it is almost daily there are bomb attacks by Hindus. So again, I don't have anything against Hindus. I teach them, I love them, and I teach all fundamental believers, true believers of all faiths. I've worked with fundamental Muslims. I've worked with fundamental Jews, fundamental Christians, and fundamental Hindus. I love them all, but I don't think that I say that's very complementary to NLP. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't connect well. It just means that NLP is this quite a neutral tool, with the exception for freedom, and that you can use it with any ideology. I'm quite sure that I call them my favorite fundamental Muslim people from Iran, the Ayatollahs. I'm quite sure that the Ayatollahs could use NLP very well. They're not so big on freedom, I think. That might be an issue, but for the rest, I think the Ayatollahs can perfectly use NLP perfectly well. So Buddhists can use them perfectly well, Hindus, Christians, Jews, Muslims, Mayas, if they're still left. I don't know whether there are still Mayas in the world, but it is a neutral tool and can be used in any way you want. But using it as a tool to turn people into Buddhism or Hindus without their knowing that it's going on, that is, well, it's good NLP, but you can question the ethics of it. I mean by mixing by other things with NLP, by providing it with science. Yes, that's hopefully we get more science within NLP. NLP officially follows the scientific method? Yes. No, I think that's too strong. The scientific method is a very specific peer-reviewed publication system in scientific journals. NLP doesn't follow that at all, but I do think that NLP doesn't want to contradict science anywhere. And if it does contradict science anywhere, that's an indication that there's fake NLP. I thought DILTs was a Jesuit. I was wrong again. I don't know. Maybe he's a Jesuit. Who knows? But he does promote with his DILTs model the idea of oneness. So maybe he's a mystic Jesuit who thinks that everything is one. But of course, normally you would ascribe the wholeness idea, the everything is one idea, and the idea that you can use spirituality to join this oneness is, of course, a basic tenet of Hinduism. And Buddhism is a sub-school of Hinduism. And the Buddhists say, well, of course, you can join the oneness, but that's still an illusion. You can go one step further and actually discover nothingness. But that's the model that it's pushing. It's pushing this idea of oneness, this idea that there's a mission. So that brings us to the end of the stream. If there are any other questions, remarks, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to thank Nora Lisa for her paying attention.
Yeah, thank you for your time today.
Yes, well, I love talking about this, as you notice, so more than happy to do this.
And I like hearing about it.
Good, good. So we have to come up with a topic for the next week. How is the thing that we came across? So talk about Dale's logical levels or the systemic work and family constellations. How does that sound? How does that sound?
That sounds great. Yeah, it sounds like there's still a lot that I don't know. So yeah, I'm open to any information.
All right. Well, then we'll continue doing this, and then we'll go into more detail. So people are asking, where can we buy your book? But Ben says it's still unpublished, and people should go to fastermagic.com. This is, but you have.
Oh yeah, that's on Amazon.
This is your poetry, I think, because you have written 3 novels. Did I remember that correctly?
Oh, I've published 7. Yeah, 7 books.
Published 7 novels.
Yeah, 7. So 3 novels, 3 children's books, and that 1 book of poetry.
There you go. But is there an easy way where they can find you?
Yes. Am I able to chat in here? And my website is ffpublishing.org.
FF Publishing?
Yes, ffpublishing.org.
.org. Let me see if I can. Fight or Flight Publishing?
Yes, that's me.
Good, good. That sounds like you have many options in your life. You can either fight or flight.
Oh, definitely. The name is, yeah, it's inspired by my pen name, Norepinephrine. It's short for norepinephrine, that adrenaline fight or flight chemical. Yeah, and if you view on Amazon, that's where the buy link is.
So
yeah, that's all that stuff. It's really exciting. Exciting to me to see someone else looking at this. It's
yes. Well, that's the great thing about publishing, is that you actually, well, as soon as you publish it, it's out of your hands.
Yeah, then I have all my notebooks with my notes and everything. That it feels good to let go of it and just have the final product.
Yes.
Yeah.
But whenever I publish a book, it's out of my system, and I no longer consider it mine. Actually, I think, okay, this is now of the world. And people always ask, "Is this in your book?" I said, "I don't know. I don't read my book."
Yeah, sometimes I forget too. Like I don't know, like Dirty Boy. That was my first book. It feels like a lifetime ago that I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I found out this week that I had written a book only 2 or 3 years ago on NLP and climate change, which is really
climate
weird.
change. Wow.
Yeah. My book is about the fact that there's going to be a climate disaster, and you better learn NLP, because otherwise you're not going to be able to deal with the mega deaths that are about to happen to the world.
Is that in English?
No, it's in Dutch. But if you find someone who wants to translate it or a publisher, then I'm more than happy to have it published in English, because I do think that it, is indeed. It might very well be that between now and 2100, there will die about 9 billion people unnecessarily. So having to deal with 9 billion unnecessary deaths. That is, how you say, quite an emotional impact. So better learn NLP to deal with it.
I'm getting distracted by some of the comments, like you did Dirty Boy? Yeah, I did Dirty Boy.
I see it, yes.
Yeah.
Fortunately, my bot is going to immediately take action against Ben. But given that there is one request for logical levels, then we're going to talk about logical levels, logical levels next week.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And then we'll go for systemic work and family constellations the week after. All right, then we're done.
Okay.
Let's see.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for showing my work there.
Yeah, no problem. I'm more than happy to promote the work. You're a wonderful guest and the star of the show. So.
Oh, you're the star.
No. I'm the humble salesperson who helps you become a hero.
Oh.
But I find it always funny to see if Ben Mac is trying to take on the automated bots to see if the bots are impressed by him.
Yeah.
Good. Also good to see that my bot is actually doing its work as advertised. If there are no more questions, no more remarks, then we're done for today, and then we're going to continue this next week, Sunday. Dale's logical levels will be the topic, and everything that's wrong by it, and everything that's good by it. I do like Dale's logical levels if it's done by Dales. The problem is that all the people that Dales is teaching, all the trainers that Dales is teaching, turn into true believers, right. And when the logical levels then come out of their mouths, then it turns into fake NLP. Oh. That's the one thing that I do blame Robert Dilts on. Not that he's a fake NLP trainer, but he is turning a lot of NLP trainers into fake NLP trainers by teaching them logical levels and not explaining what he's actually doing. Uh-huh. So that's next week on Thursday. We are going to discuss in the afternoon in the marketing with Jeremy Lynch, the life coach, and then on Sunday, Thursday after at the end of the day, 7 p.m. I am supposed to do something on personality typing. So I probably are going to discuss spiral dynamics. Oh. Let's see what is wrong with spiral dynamics. Why spiral dynamics turns yoga teachers into white supremacists.
Wow. Yeah, I'm curious about that now too.
It's Thursday evening for me. It's probably Thursday morning for you, but you can always watch it afterwards. Uh-huh. Yeah, spiral dynamics exposed finally. How hippie stuff from the 70s turns white yoga-loving people into white supremacists 50 years later. Good. Then we're done for today. Bye. See you soon somewhere next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.